Leadership. All of us have the ability to be leaders. Everyone has the potential to become a leader. What makes a leader? The first and foremost is the vision. Leaders have dreams. And those dreams are beyond the self. There has never been a leader whose dream is concentrated on the self. So my great inspiration is the great Iqbal. Iqbal, in my opinion, was probably the greatest Muslim philosopher in the last 500 years. And he came up with this concept of a leader. He used the symbol of Shaheen, the eagle. And why did the eagle soar above everyone else, which is what makes a leader? Because the Shaheen, the eagle, broke away the chains that keep us grounded. So what stops us from achieving this great God-given potential are the various chains that make us tread the trodden path. So the Shaheen, the eagle, has great dreams. The difference is not talent, difference is not education. Difference is that a leader dreams what others are scared to dream of. Dream the impossible. And then that dream is, as I repeat, is not based on the self. They always think bigger than themselves. It's either their nation, their society, and then they struggle to achieve that dream. Now, the quality that distinguishes leaders is their ability to take pressure. Winston Churchill became a leader in Britain. When the biggest crisis was faced by the country, they looked upon someone who could take the pressure. How do you take pressure? When you struggle. When you struggle and when you have setbacks, you pick yourself up, you resume your struggle. It's eventually you get stronger. Each time you pick yourself up, you get stronger. So, a Nelson Mandela, 27 years the man spent in jail. But his dream was not restricted to himself. He was offered everything. The apartheid regime offered him everything except what he wanted. One man, one vote. A leader never compromises on his dream. The moment you start a compromise, it's a downward spiral. So it's when you stick to your dream and take all the pressure which you have to achieve that dream, you build that resilience, the endurance, the strength. And it's like physical exercise. The bigger weights you pick up, the stronger you get. The more you pit yourself against resistance, the stronger you get. But above all, no one has ever achieved anything who's always put himself before the society. So whether it was our great leader, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, Qaeda-e-Azam, he was dying of TB. He never let anyone know that he was dying because he realized that he was the only one who could have achieved the dream of Pakistan. So it wasn't for him. The dream for Pakistan was not for himself because he was already dying of cancer, of TB. The dream was something beyond the self. And so was Gandhi, another great leader. Mandela, our prophet, peace be upon him, the greatest leader. When he struggled for 13 years, every hardship he faced in these 13 years. And eventually when he headed the state of Medina, and all the hardships they faced, but when he was in the 10 years when it was at the peak of his power, the famous address at Arafat, where 100,000 people standing and him addressing them from the Mount of Arafat. And he asked the people, can you bear witness in front of God that I've finished I have conveyed his message to you. So the 100,000 people said yes. And then people started crying. They started crying because they realized that he had just come to deliver a message. The objective was not power. He still lived in that little house, which was that Masjid al-Nabi, the little few rooms which he had when he came with nothing. So it was never for the self. And the moment he had achieved his mission, everyone cried because they knew that he was going to go. Similarly, if you look at any big name, they had a bigger vision. So number one is the vision. Number two, a leader can only achieve his mission if he conquers his fears. The biggest impediment in the way of people achieving their mission is that they get scared. They get scared of humiliation, failure. A lot of people don't attempt things because they're scared that people will laugh at them. People get scared because they're scared they'll lose their livelihood. I'll lose my job, I might not get a better job, and so they don't take a risk. And then, of course, above all, the greatest fear of death. That stops people from chasing their dreams. So fear is the biggest impediment in the way, not just of someone becoming a leader, but from anyone achieving their potential in life. It's fear that stops us along the way, makes us compromise. In my 13 years in politics, so many times, and 16 years in politics, so many times, I was offered compromises to become part of a government, accept something less. There's always a temptation during bad times to accept something lesser than your dream. And that's where the downward slide, as I said, starts. So fear is, you get scared along the way, people will say you can't do it. The moment you accept in your mind that you can't do it, you won't do it. As long as you think, as long as you do not accept defeat, failure cannot defeat you. You only lose when you give up. As long as you keep pursuing your dream, every setback is a time to analyze where you went wrong. Analyze your mistakes, correct them, pick yourself up, start your struggle again. One of the great attributes of a good leader is his ability to analyze where he went wrong. The ability to be their own best critic. They should be able to analyze, because you can always come up with a wrong analysis and go take the wrong road. When you have a setback, you will always have access to a lot of advice. A lot of people will be giving you suggestions. Suggestions are free, so there are plenty of them. It's then the ability to know, and you should be your own best critic. And finally, a leader must have integrity. You cannot have a leader who does not have credibility. People only follow someone who they trust. So all the great leaders, and our great leader, Jinnah, or even his opponents always knew him to be an honest man. He spoke straight, people trusted him, they knew where they stood with him. Of course, that was also the greatest, our prophet, peace be upon him, was called the honest one, the truthful one, Al-Amin. A leader cannot not be credible. You can't be a leader if you do not have credibility. So credibility is one of the biggest reasons why people follow you. They have to trust you to go out and risk their lives for you. So all great leaders always were trusted by the people who followed them. So these are the three main qualities that makes a leader. From my own experience, I found when I played cricket as captain, cricket was the only sport that needs leadership. No other sport needs a leader. The coach is everything. I found in cricket that when the chips were down, the entire team looked towards the captain. Captaincy only came in moments of crisis. If you were doing well, you didn't need a captain, but you needed a captain when there was a crisis. And the moment the captain went down, the team went down with him. As long as the captain would not accept defeat, the players always looked at his body language, not the speeches he made. What was his body language? If his body language betrayed fear, or if the body language reflected defeat, the team would give up. When I was building the hospital, it was far more difficult than something I had ever done on the cricket field. And all along the way, there were people who used to say, you can't do it. The first ever meeting we had, we were trying to clear the concept of building a cancer hospital in Pakistan. So I had 20 doctors, top doctors from Lahore invited to give me advice how to start, how to build a cancer hospital. 19 out of 20 said you cannot build a cancer hospital in Pakistan. The government of Punjab had tried, they had failed to build the hospital. Only one said that you can build a hospital, but that doctor said that you cannot treat cancer patients free. Today, Shaukat Hanum is the only private cancer hospital anywhere in the world where 70% of patients get free treatment. It was awarded by the World Health Organization. WHO awarded Shaukat Hanum for services to humanity as the only private cancer hospital, which is also the biggest charitable institution in Pakistan. And then when I came into politics, for most of my 16 years of politics, people laughed, made fun of me. He's too naive, doesn't understand politics. And all along the way, I was told one thing. To succeed in Pakistani politics, you have to do as the Romans do. So you have to make compromises and so on. And I was always offered compromises. Today, the only reason Tehreek-e-Insaf is by far the fastest growing party in Pakistan, had I compromised, this would not have happened. It's because people in Pakistan, as they say, an idea whose time has come. Finally, people have realized that it's the only political party that they can trust. Tehreek-e-Insaf is the fastest growing party in Pakistan's youth because the youth wants change. And although even the other status quo parties talk about change, the youth of Pakistan today trusts Tehreek-e-Insaf. Had I compromised along the way, this would not be the position today. And it certainly would not be the position where Tehreek-e-Insaf today is poised. Lastly, please remember one thing. You only lose when you give up. Remember this. Remember this over and over again. You only lose when you give up. If you do not give up, you will win from the most incredible positions. The fight is in the mind. It's not physical, it's in the mind. As long as the mind refuses to accept defeat, each setback will give you an opportunity to analyze yourself. Where did I go wrong? It's an opportunity. Remember, crisis is an opportunity to evaluate yourself. Where did I go wrong? Correct that, pick yourself up, you again move on, and you will find that you will get stronger. Each time you pick yourself up, you come back stronger. This is what the human being is. The Almighty made us ashraful makhlukat. We are His greatest creation. But only, as Iqbal said, to become the Shaheen, you have to break the chains. This chain of the moment you say it's impossible, it's impossible. And whatever you can dream, remember this, whatever you can dream, you can achieve. If you can visualize something, you can achieve it. I was in 16 years of politics. Never did I ever picture. I used to, for instance, when I was playing cricket, I used to picture winning the World Cup, picking up the World Cup. I used to picture that. And I played 5 World Cups, got it in the end. I pictured one day that Shaukat Hanum Hospital there'll be a grand opening, and I saw that. It happened. Against all, much more difficult than cricket. But I could never picture winning the elections. I couldn't picture it. Until about 4 months ago, when I was trying to sleep, and before I go to sleep, I always assess the day. You know, I always, since a child, I always used to analyze my day. So I was just analyzing my day, and suddenly I pictured that there was celebration in Pakistan. In the streets, there were people celebrating freedom. What had happened? PTI had won the elections. Thank you. इस वक्त सारी पार्टीज को इलेक्शन का बॉयकॉट करना चाहिए जो इस मुल्क के अंदर हकीकी जमहूरियत में जिनका उसके ऊपर बिलीफ है, जिनका उनके ऊपर हकीकी जमहूरियत पे यकीन है। ये इलेक्शन बहुत बड़ा पाकिस्तान की तारीख का सबसे बड़ा फ्रॉड होने जा रहा है। इस इलेक्शन के अंदर जनरल मुशर्रफ ने वो पाकिस्तान से किया है जो पाकिस्तान की तारीख में किसी डिक्टेटर ने किया है, जो हद क्रॉस कर चुका है। ये करवाने जा रहा है तो कोई दुनिया बेवकूफ़ है, लेकिन ये इसने, और मुझे नहीं पता किसने मुझे क्या रहा किया, क्यों किया उन्होंने, लेकिन मैं इतना ये जानता हूँ कि इन्होंने जो भी किया है, मैं ये छोटी बात है कि ये अगर इनका ख्याल है कि मैं ये जेल की वजह से डर के इसके साथ करूँगा, मैं और तेज़ अभी निकलूँगा इसके खिलाफ। मैं मुशर्रफ को कबूल करता ही नहीं हूँ। मैं कहता हूँ मुल्क का सबसे बड़ा मुझे
For Khan, when it comes to building a better Pakistan, politics and social work go hand in hand. In the middle of Mianwali, a new project is underway.
That's the college. This is the salt range. That's the lake. The most beautiful location. All around this college is the most backward part of Pakistan. Young people have no access to quality education. You find rising crime, young people turn into drugs. And so the whole idea of building this here is that it will serve 5 of the poorest districts of this country. Would love to have this as my office. This would be the hallway, and then the classrooms up there. I haven't done any proper fundraising for this because I wanted to wait until this college opens. Once you have a running concern, it's much easier to collect money. And here is me, who has collected probably more money than anyone in Pakistan. So I understand about fundraising.
Why?
All we want the international community is to ask one thing from General Musharraf, to restore the judges of the Supreme Court. Everything else they ask is useless if the Supreme Court judges are not restored, because that means that General Musharraf would have got away with violating the Constitution. Not the West, but what George Bush is doing, he's alienating 160 million people just to back one man to do his dirty work here. And what he's doing is he's creating anti-Americanism in this country. It's exactly what the Americans did when they backed Shah of Iran against the popular democratic movement in the country. And what was a democratic movement turned out to be, in the end, an anti-American movement. And this is exactly what the Americans are doing now. We do not recognize these judges. These are Musharraf's cronies. These judges are his pocket judges. Even if he wants to have himself declared as the king, these judges will declare him the king. That's the whole reason for the emergency, because he got rid of the genuine the judiciary. The real judges are under house arrest, while these pocket judges are sitting there just to endorse every illegal act of his.
Thank you, sir.
On March the 9th, 2007, President Pervez Musharraf suspended the Supreme Court Chief Justice on charges of misuse of power. Specific allegations have yet to be made public by the government. Iftikhar Chaudhry's removal from office has been widely criticised and has sparked nationwide protests. Opposition parties argue the act was unconstitutional, and Khan has become one of the most high-profile voices on this issue. An independent judiciary is the very cause that Movement for Justice has built its party on. Khan has not been slow to make political capital.
This is a very important time because the lawyers and the political parties are combining to fight for an independent judiciary.
Today, Khan has come to address the Lahore Bar Association.
ये कितना अहम वक्त है पाकिस्तान की तारीख में। अगर हम कामयाब होते हैं तो पहली दफा पाकिस्तान की तारीख में एक चीफ जस्टिस आएगा जिसकी पावर अवाम से मिलेगी, उसको जीएचक्यू से नहीं मिलेगी, अवाम के अंदर उसकी पावर होगी।
Khan's disillusionment with modern-day Pakistan is rooted firmly in the government's control of the judiciary. The suspension of the Chief Justice and his period of house arrest has led to a series of national protests. Movement for Justice plans to participate in a countrywide demonstration the following day. This takes some coordinating.
We will have demonstration both in Lahore and in Islamabad. And in other cities, in Peshawar and Karachi, everywhere our party will be demonstrating tomorrow. The women's tactics are completely different to the male tactics because the police is completely different with the women, and with the men they are much rougher.
Now I would like to know who is interested to go tomorrow, because we have to put up a very good show. Imran Khan was the first political leader who brought up this thing 11, 12 years back when the party was made, that Pakistan should have an independent judiciary. And today the whole country is talking about it.
This is a perfect location for me because I'm outside Islamabad. I am right out in the open. I'm on this plateau overlooking the lake, mountains all around. I call this paradise. It's a perfect place to unwind.
Khan enjoys the tranquility of his hilltop home before the following day's demonstration. It's the day of the protest, and opposition parties from all over Pakistan marched to the Supreme Court to show their solidarity with the Chief Justice.
The reason why this demonstration is outside the Supreme Court is to tell the other judges who are sitting on judgment of the Chief Justice, to tell them that they derive their strength from us, the people of Pakistan. It is, in my opinion, one of the greatest moments in Pakistan's history. For the first time, a Chief Justice is standing for the independence of judiciary, and everyone is behind him. All the political parties, despite our differences.
Right now, Movement for Justice is enjoying unprecedented levels of exposure. But elections later this year will be the acid test for Khan's party and the role he is yet to play in Pakistan.
Because twice the parliament has passed resolutions condemning drone attacks, and each time within 24 hours there have been drone attacks. So there's total disregard for the democratic representatives of Pakistan. And thirdly, it is a violation of all humanitarian laws. It violates every human law because no law allows anyone to become judge, jury and executioner and eliminate suspects, their wives, their children, their neighbors, and they never find out who they've killed. We never know who they've killed because the bodies are charred beyond recognition, or pieces of the bodies are spread all over, so no one recognizes who's been killed. The message of the dharna is, number one, to the Americans, that this is counterproductive. They are creating extremists against them. They are creating more terrorists. These places will be filled up by more people because they'll be considered martyrs. It's a message to a puppet government that be honest with the people, because on the face of it, they always condemn drone attacks, but underhand, they've given Americans the permission. We want them to be honest to the people. If they can't stop it, then resign.
एक महीने के अंदर ड्रोन अटैक्स अगर हुए, हम सारे पाकिस्तान में बर्फ जगहों में नेटो के सप्लाई बंद करेंगे। अगर फिर भी ना बंद हुए तो फिर तैयारी करें, हम सब इस्लामाबाद चलेंगे।
So you're basically recommending a strategy of negotiation with the Taliban and a complete elimination of the drones, if I hear you properly.
It is the only way. Believe me, it is the only way. Are the drone attacks really succeeding in making us win this war on terror? The answer is no.
But the CIA would say that the efforts to use drones has been successful in eliminating the leadership of Al-Qaeda in Pakistan, and to a great extent that's why Al-Qaeda has become a much less significant force with respect to terrorism at a global level. So how do you respond to that argument that in fact this has been quite successful?
But if it's successful, then they should stop it now. I mean, look, I'm sitting in Pakistan. I'm telling you the impact drone attacks are having in this country. And I'm telling you that the more drone attacks, the more anti-Americanism. The more anti-Americanism, the more radicalization. The more radicalization, there is only one beneficiary, and that's Al-Qaeda.
कैसे मिलिट्री ऑपरेशंस हैं, कैसे ड्रोन अटैक्स हैं कि हर साल पिछले साल से ज्यादा दहशतगर्दी और दहशतगर्द बढ़ रहे हैं। ये कैसी जंग है? इस जंग का सिर्फ और सिर्फ पाकिस्तान की आवाम को नुकसान है, कबायली लोगों की आवाम को नुकसान है और अमेरिका के लोगों को भी नुकसान।
But look at it from the Pakistani point of view. Surely, here's a country which has sacrificed far more than the Americans. Remember, 34,000 dead here. Now, should this, after all these sacrifices, should not Pakistan have taken him out? Now, if the ally for which Pakistan is fighting this war, if it does not trust Pakistan, where does that leave us? I'm talking now as a citizen of Pakistan. Where does that leave Pakistanis? What are we? Are we friends or enemies? Who are we giving these sacrifices for? We did not have any suicide attacks in Pakistan before 2004. We had no militant Taliban in Pakistan. And here is a country which had 500 bomb blasts last year. So where do we go from here? I, as a citizen of the country, am asking myself the question, can the country take this much longer? Your point is that you think that Pakistan is not a trustworthy ally. I'm saying that it's about time Pakistan had a government which made its war, told the Americans, we don't want any aid. We'll deal with it ourselves. We will ensure there's no terrorism from Pakistani soil. We have a much better chance of dealing with this, with the terrorism if it's a sovereign, credible Pakistani government rather than a puppet government, which is what it is perceived, a government that is not sovereign. Doesn't have any credibility, either with the US or with the militants. It doesn't have any chance of engaging with certain elements amongst the terrorists who it can talk and disassociate from the real terrorist, Al-Qaeda. Remember, most of the people who are fighting today, 95% of the people who are fighting are our own tribal people who were neither terrorists nor religious fundamentalists. They are fighting as a result of Pakistani military operations in the tribal area. So a credible government should have peace talks with them and then isolate the Al-Qaeda, which is worry to the West.
Mr.
लड़ो